Hello, it's Richard Robertson here, owner of Author Advocates, newly launched project that we are hoping to kind of get in full swing here in the next few months. Website's being worked on, a couple other things. But I wanted to shoot a little just casual, laid back video in the dining room here about why we're doing this, what it is and why we're doing it. So the main reason I've worked in publishing for a lot of years, worked with a lot of different companies, a lot of different authors. The main reason I wanted to get involved is because I am a fan of good content. And I feel like there's a lot of good content out in the world that never sees the light of day or never sees proper handling. I've read a lot of great manuscripts that, not a lot of people got to read them for whatever reason. And so I think there's some things we can do to help people at least understand about publishing, help people figure out, what they're trying to accomplish. And I think primarily, there are a lot of companies out there that'll publish a book for you. There's a lot of self-publishing entities, whether it's under the big list of author solutions brands, the Westbow Presses and the Author Houses and the iUniverse and Ex Libris and Balboa. They've got a handful of others. Lulu, I think, is theirs now. Or whether it's a different, independent brand like Xulon or Elm Hill or Christian Faith or Dog Ear. There's a bunch of those. There's, lots of them out there. And honestly, they all do, and this is going to probably shock you to hear, but they all do a pretty good job. They really do. I mean, I know you can look on Better Business Bureau and you can see a lot of negative things about them. You can see a lot of reviews where they didn't follow through, or the author didn't get the results they were going to get, or whatever it might be. But the bottom line is all of those companies publish a lot of books. And so if you publish 10,000 books and you get 100 complaints, if the complaints are looked at, in a vacuum, that looks like a lot, but not if you publish 10,000 books, and certainly not if you publish 100,000 books. So percentage-wise, they all do a pretty good job. But I think there's room for growth in multiple ways. I think we need to kind of step outside the box a little bit in publishing and focus on the content and the best way to get the content to its intended audience. And so we're going to do some things like that at Author Advocates. We're going to do some kind of guerrilla warfare style stuff, and we'll send some of that to you in the future. Today, though, I just really wanted to talk about what we are. We are a consulting firm that does also offer services to authors who fit in our wheelhouse. We'll offer some editing, design work, all the way to full offset printing, warehousing, and distribution. But I think primarily authors, self-published authors, or really all authors, most authors, unless they have an audience, are going to start self-publishing somehow. You'll hear a lot of people use the term vanity press or subsidy publishing or self-publishing. There's a lot of different nuances to it. Nobody really should do the old school vanity press. I mean, you can't really succeed without professional editing, professional design, professional marketing, those kinds of things. There's a lot of different ways we can approach it, but by and large, most authors fall into three buckets. This first bucket is full of authors who they've got a story that they want to tell, and their target, they're not looking for fame, fortune. If it takes off, great. If it doesn't, that's fine. They've got other things that they are involved in. A lot of pastors and missionaries will write something to give to their church or their denomination. They don't have a lot of extra resources to spend on this, and so they do what's necessary. And a lot of times they'll come to a company like Author House or Elm Hill or Zulon or something like that, and they'll spend $1,000 or $1,500 to get the thing done. But because it's all template driven, and because most of the work is stuff online that you can do on your own with just a little bit of research, I want to talk to that initial bucket of authors and show them a way they can do things without spending as much money, because with that type of investment, you're not going to get you're not going to get a huge return because it's not built for that. You're paying for services that you can probably do on your own. Maybe not, and if you don't want to do those things on your own or you can't, then we can look at some options, some places to send you. I've got some buddies in the industry who work for some of those places, and we can get you a deal. The second group of authors are people who they are looking for commercial success, and they do have some resources to back that up, but they don't have enough resources to fully fund that on the front end. So maybe they've got, $5,000, $8,000, $10,000 that they can pay for professional design, professional editing, professional marketing and website development, and online services, a lot of things like that. But they know that as time goes, they're basically starting their small in the garage business, and they're going to do the lion's share of the work, and they're going to take the lion's share of the risk. But they believe in their project enough to work it over a period of time, and that's what it's going to take is time. You cannot spend $6,000 to publish a book, wait 3 months, and if you don't become successful, you just chalk it up and say, I'm done because I didn't hit a home run with this one. We never really, there's no way you'll know in those first 3 months, or even the first 6 months, 8 months. It takes a pretty continued period of work, and that's mainly going to fall on the author, whether it's work you do yourself or work you pay for as you go through marketing firms or things like that. But that's how that second group of authors is. They have some financial backing that they can use, but they are going to do a chunk of the work themselves, and they are going to make sure they understand their investment is going to take time. There's a third group of authors who a lot of times they call and they say, listen, I've got X number of dollars earmarked for this. I'm not technically starting a business in my garage. I realize this is a small business. I'm going to work it like that. I'm going to invest this amount on the front end in a lot of really professional, mostly on the marketing side, services, and I'm going to work this book like it's my job. That group of authors, the greatest disservice is being paid to you guys. Because that first bucket of authors, they're going to spend $500, $800, $1,000. They probably could have got it for a fraction of that, but at the end of the day, you're not out a ton of money, even if you get a really nice book in your hand and it doesn't do anything else besides that. You paid $800 for that, probably a fair deal, for the most part. I could teach you how to do it for $300, but end of the day, fair deal. The guy who's spending $40,000, which there are a lot of those out there, to do their book the right way, and they're going with companies who have 85% margins, you're not getting the value. You're getting $10,000 worth of services for 40 grand. I've had guys with different companies that I've consulted for over the years spend $40, $50, $100,000 and get a marginal return on that because the money was poorly invested. So I'd like to talk to those guys too. So I think there's something we can offer for each one of those buckets in a little bit different way. But we've got to start looking at publishing differently because the content is really what's important. I mean, if you feel like you have a message to share or a story to share or a vision for something in the future or something that's going to impact people's lives, then we probably want to stop fiddling around with seeing how big on our side, on the publisher side, how big we can make our margins. And we need to start figuring out how best we can serve the author and get the message out. Because at the end of the day, as a guy who's been involved in full-time ministry, part-time ministry, raising kids, owning my own business, a different business than this that I still own and operate, I'm a fan of doing things that get the message out, whatever your message is. That's why you sat down and wrote the book. That's why you started the project. And it doesn't make any sense to deliver something to a publisher and then kind of watch it be cookie cuttered. The cookie cutter is not the right. No book's the same. No author's the same. No message is the same. So that's what Author Advocates is here for. We want to start working with authors who intend to get their message out, whichever bucket they fall in. I think we can help you. The rest of this week, we'll do some more videos, and obviously these are, I clearly don't have any makeup on. My beard might be a little bit messy. If the house is too messy behind me, my wife will probably kill me. So maybe we won't have any more videos next week. But the rest of this week, we're going to talk about self-publishing in general, kind of some of the guidelines and rules, and then we'll talk about we will compare traditional publishing and self-publishing, even though for most folks in this industry, traditional publishing at the early stages is not really an option. I know there's a lot of websites out there that say get an agent, write a query letter, blah blah blah. Now, I don't know if you've tried that or not, but I've published a lot of books for, I mean, literally hundreds of books for hundreds of people who have been trying for years and sometimes decades to get an agent, somebody to take a look at their manuscript. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to contrast traditional publishing and self-publishing. And then I think probably by Friday, we may actually look at some of the self-publishing companies that are out there, some of the blogs that pretend to offer you advice and then run down all of these self-publishing companies, even though those guys are my competition. We're not into that. We don't do that here. Matter of fact, I probably know a lot of guys that have worked for each one of those companies, and for the most part, they're good guys that do a good job. We just think we're doing something a little different. So like, comment, whatever you need to do on this video. It's my first one. So, tell me to shave or whatever you want to put in there. I feel like, everybody wants it to be professional and crisp, and when it comes to the projects, I get that, I want that, but I kind of want everybody to see the real vision behind this, and maybe we'll be more professional and more crisp down the road. But for right now, I want people to understand that I'm here to serve the author and serve their content and see what we can do to make this happen. So again, like, comment, ask questions, reach out if you do have a manuscript that you'd like for me to read, take a look at, and see where we need to go from there. Thanks. Take care.